So, good morning, everyone. Today we will discuss the new topic, that is the distance protection of the transmission line. Now, first we have already discussed the overcurrent drawbacks of overcurrent protection. However, as you know, the fact that overcurrent protection is very appealing and attractive because of the inherent simplicity. It is used as the primary protection for the low voltage distribution systems, and it has some major drawbacks which causes it to maloperate. If you see in the low voltage system, the maloperation of the relays can be tolerated, and the only consideration in the low voltage system is the continuity of the supply. The only consideration that we have considered is the continuity of the supply to the consumers. However, in the extra high voltage system, the maloperations cannot be tolerated, and this is because of the fact that the extra high voltage lines are actually the part of the interconnected grid. Any maloperation on this system, it will jeopardizes the stability of the electric grid. This part we have also discussed in our previous modules. We have also discussed that the reach of the overcurrent relay depends upon the type of fault as well as the source impedance. Like you can see from this figure, this figure it is seen that if the overcurrent relay pickup setting is equals to I per unit pickup, then it gives the reach up to the bus B for LLG fault, up to the bus B for LLNG fault. Then reach for the LG fault is only up to point B1, and the reach for the three-phase fault is up to the point B2. So we can say that the relay may underreach or overreach depending upon the type of fault. So this is you can say that it's not a desirable trait as if we consider the this protection system. Now, one more point is that we will have this. First, we consider about the different type of faults. Now, from this diagram, you will see that if the overcurrent relay pickup setting is equals to I per unit, then it gives the reach up to the bus B. It gives the reach up to the bus B if that is assuming the source impedance equals to ZS2. Now, then it underreaches the point P1 with the source impedance reaches to ZS1 and overreaches to point B2 if the source impedance is in that very case is ZS1. Now, from this this is again is not a desirable trait, so it will underreach and overreach depending upon the type of fault and the source impedance. Thus we see that fault current is a function of type of the fault and the source impedance. So the fault current is a function of type of fault and the source impedance. This is clear from these two diagrams. So this is which are actually variable, which keeps on changing. So we must look for a relay whose reach does not depend upon the actual magnitude of this fault current, and the search for this relay leads to the type of the relay which are known as the distance relays, which is not depending upon the actual magnitude of the fault current, but on the ratio of the voltage at the relay location and the fault current. So we searched for the relay and we reach a type of the relay which is known as the distance relay. Our search will reach the type of the relay which is known as the this distance relay, and this distance relay is actually, it is independent of the type of the fault and the source impedance. So we will have the distance relay, which is not the function of this type of the fault and the source impedance. Now we will discuss the introduction to the distance protection. Now let us consider the transmission line AB as shown in the figure. We will have the transmission line A and B as shown in the figure, and let us assume that there is a source A, source only at the end A, that is the singly fed system, and we wish to generate a zone of protection which extends from A to B. Now assume that the proposed relay is located at the end A, where the current and the voltage are available through the CT and the PT, whose ratios has been assumed, let us suppose 1:1 for the simplicity. Now the reach of the distance relay is made equals to Z set. Let us suppose that the reach of this distance relay is made equals to Z set, and the line is modeled at this as the series R and the L circuit for the purpose of relaying without much loss of the accuracy. Now let us consider the three faults: an internal fault, that is the F1, then we will have the external fault, that is the F3, and a fault at the reach location, that is the F2. Now let us compare the relay voltage VR, this relay voltage VR with the product of the relay current IR and Z set. So we have the system, we will have the internal fault, we will have the external fault, and the fault at the relay location, and we will compare the relay voltage, that is the VR, then the relay current, that is IR, and the this reach of the relay Z set for all these three faults. Now this comparison is tabled in this table. Now in this case, we have in the first this column we will have the fault, that is external, reach point in the internal, and the second one we will have the current at the relay location and the voltage at the relay location. That fault is external fault is F3, reach point is F2, and internal is F1. Then the current at the relay location is IR3, IR2 and IR1, and voltage at the relay location is VR3, VR2 and VR1. Now from this you will see that for VR3, if this one, that for the VR3, if the voltage R3 is greater than IR3 Z set, then it will restrain. It means that this is the R3 fault, and if we see at this R3 fault, this is the external fault, so relay need not to trip in that particular fault. So what happens that we have one we compare the voltage and the current and the Z set, and from this what we obtain, that if the VR3 is greater than the IR3 into Z set, then it will restrain. Now if VR2 is equals to IR2 into Z set, now VR2 is equals to IR2 and Z set, this one, then in that very case it will be on the verge of operation. So, and third one is IR1, which is desired, that is internal fault, and if VR1 is less than IR1 Z set, then it will definitely trip, as we have seen from this one. So VR1, the voltage seen by the relay, is less than I, that is the current into Z set. Voltage is less than the current into Z set, then definitely it will give the trip signal. So this is also clear from this diagram. You can see from this diagram, if you see, if the voltage, this is the voltage, that is this voltage is VR2, let us suppose, and let us suppose that this is the voltage across this is VR2. Now the voltage is VR2, so VR2 is equals to, if we write this, then VR2 is equals to IR, that is this one, into Z set. Now let us suppose that what happens, that there is the fault within the system, internal fault within the system. So this internal fault, so let us suppose it is not VR2, let us suppose that it is VR, it is not R2, let us suppose that it is VR. Then in that very case we will have let us suppose that a fault occurs in the system, then in that very case the current would increase in that very case. Now when the current would increase in that very case, so what happens, that the voltage which is seen by this PT is less. So voltage is seen by the PT is less and this component is large. It means that what happens, that VR2 is less than IR, it is less than IR2. Let us suppose that we are taking the 2 and Z set. So this we have, let us suppose that this 2 we have used arbitrarily. So if this is then the current is increasing, the current is very much high in that very case, so this drop is high, and when this drop is high, then you can say that this component is much more than whatever seen by the relay. So in that very case it will trip. And if it is less than, if it is, this is a VR, suppose VR is greater than IR2 and IR2 and into Z set, then definitely it will not trip. So we found a trip law. So what is the trip law? The trip law is that if VR is less than IR into Z set, then what is the signal? It is trip, and else it will restrain. So this is actually the trip law. That is, if VR is less than IR into Z set, it will trip, otherwise it will restrain. And in other writing this in other form, if we write it is in other form, then definitely we are getting this VR divided by IR, magnitude of VR divided by IR is less than Z set, then it will trip, else it will restrain. Now the ratio is the ratio VR and IR. What is the ratio? It is the magnitude of apparent impedance as seen by the relay. So the trip law can be written as, it is the apparent impedance as seen by the relay. So let it be represented by ZR. So finally what we are getting, magnitude ZR is less than Z set, it will trip, otherwise it will restrain. So this ZR is actually the magnitude of apparent impedance as seen by the relay. Now the relay, therefore it has to compute the impedance as seen from the this location and compare it with the set value to take the trip decision. Now because of the simple series model of the faulted line, the line impedance is directly proportional to the distance. Line impedance is directly proportional to the distance because of the simple series model of the fault line, and so the name as the distance relay. So the line impedance is directly proportional to the distance. So we can call it as the distance relay. And such a relay, it is also known as the under impedance relay, because it is V by R is actually the impedance. So it is also known as the under impedance relay. And in practice, however, the word under is dropped and the relay is simply the impedance relay. So it is known as the impedance relay, because we have V divided by IR, VR divided by IR equal to ZR. So this is known as the impedance relay. And you can say that it is possible to synthesize the several more complicated distance relay. So to distinguish this relay from the other distance relays, we actually called it as the simple impedance relay. We called this relay as the simple impedance relay. Now, one more point we have to take into consideration, that we need not to actually perform the division of VR by IR to compute the ZR. We can get the computation by only performing the comparison instead. So comparison is done rather than the actual division in that very case. Now, this is the characteristics of the distance relay on the VI plane. So it is actually the characteristics of the However, for the this is the characteristics on the of the distance relay on the VI plane, where V is the voltage and I is the current. However, it is more instructive if we represent the characteristics in the Rx plane, where in that very case the R represents the real part of V by I. R represents the real part of V by I. In case of Rx relay, then if we represent it in the Rx plane, and X represents the imaginary part of the V by I. R represents the real part of V by I, and X represents the imaginary part of V by I, and V and I being the phasors. So this is shown here in this figure. We have represents this characteristic relay in the we have mapped this VI that is VI characteristics into the Rx plane. We have represent this into the Rx plane, and it is a circle, and in this circle we will have the trip region and the restrain region, and in that very case V and if we are considering only the voltage and the current axis, in that very case this was the trip and this was the restrain region. However, for the analysis we are considering it in the Rx plane. We are doing the mapping in the Rx plane. Now we have mapped in the Rx plane, and in this case let us suppose that we have a system, and in this system we will have the fault F2, that is the that is what is desired for Z set. Then we have the internal fault and we will have the external fault, and it is represented by the faulty transmission line, that is R and X. It is represented, this transmission line is represented by R and the X. However, when we map the V and I axis, it is represented by this circle, and this inside the circle it is the trip, and this is the restraint region, and it is actually R and X axis, where R in this case is the real part of V by I, and X in this case is the imaginary part of the V and divided by I. Now in this case the fault characteristics is also shown which is also superimposed. This is the fault characteristics. In this case, we will have the F3, that is the external fault. Then we have the F2 on the verge of that, that is up to the reach up to that. So, and F1 is the internal fault. It is also superimposed, and it is actually these are the metallic faults. Metallic faults are those faults which do not involve appreciable fault resistance. So this is actually, if you see, this fault is actually a straight line with a slope equal to the line characteristic angle, that is equals to tan inverse omega L by R, where L in this case is the inductance per unit length of the line, and R is the resistance per unit length of the line. So we can say that the fault anywhere on the transmission line can be mapped on this straight line. So what we have done, we have the fault on this transmission line, we have mapped this on this line, that is anywhere fault occurs within the system, we have mapped it on this transmission line, and this is the fault characteristics of the line. So it is obvious that the tripping characteristics of the distance relay to protect the entire length of the transmission line should actually be small area. It is actually, this is the tripping area, and this is actually with a small area on the RX plane which contains the fault characteristics of the transmission line. Unfortunately, if you see, the tripping characteristics of the simple impedance relay is too large an area in the RX plane than ideally required. So this tripping characteristics is very large, and this is an undesirable trait because it gives rise to the maloperations of the relay. So tripping area is very much large. We will have the large tripping area. So this is also the one of the disadvantage of this type of relay. Also, if you see, most of the faults involves the arcing. So the arc is actually resistance, it is resistive in nature. The arc resistance is the function of the spark over the distance s, then the wind velocity and time t, and the current I in amperes. And we have discussed in the chapter first, we have discussed the Warrington formula for the arc resistance. So the Warrington formula for the arc resistance is actually given by R equals to R arc is equals to 8750 S plus 3 UT divided by I into raised to power 1 by 1.4. So in this case, S is in feet, that is spark over distance, and the U in this case is the wind velocity, and T time T in seconds, and the current I in amperes. So it is the Warrington formula that we have discussed in the first chapter. Now, when we consider the arc resistance, the fault characteristics of the transmission line, it is actually this one. It is modified from a straight line with a slope of tan inverse omega L by R to an area as shown here. So this is modeled by this area other than when we are considering the arc resistance also. So this is about the basics of the distance relay. Now we can discuss the various types of relays, that is the simple impedance relay, reactance relay, and the Moore relay in the subsequent lectures. So we will so thank you very much for this. Thanks a lot. Now let us discuss the simple impedance relay. So we will discuss the simple trip law for the simple impedance relay using the universal torque equation. So what we can do, it is possible to synthesize many types of relay using the electromechanical structures, and we can actually write a generic torque equation for such a structure where there are the torques produced by the current at the relay location, that is current at the relay location. Then we will have the voltage at the relay location, and interaction between the current voltage and the current, which is also known as the directional unit. So individual torques may be made to act in such a way as to close the trip contact or as to oppose the closing of the trip contact. And the torque which tends to close the trip contact is known as the operating torque, and the torque which tends to oppose the closing of the trip contact, it is known as the this restraining torque. Now let us consider the generic torque equation. So K1 IR square plus K2 VR square plus K3 VR IR cos of theta minus tau plus K4, where K in this case is the net torque on the actuating structure of the relay. K1 IR square is the torque due to the current fed to the relay current coil. K2 VR square is the torque due to the voltage applied to the relay pressure coil. And this one K3 VR IR cos of theta minus tau is the torque due to the directional unit. So in this case you will see theta is the angle between the voltage and current which is fed to the relay, and tau is the maximum torque angle for the directional unit that we have discussed in the previous modules. Now K4 is the torque due to the spring which can be neglected and compared to the operating torque when the relay is on the verge of operation. Now let us suppose that K1 be positive. Let us suppose that K1 be positive and K2 be negative and K3 be 0. Then the relay will trip if, that is, K1 is positive, K2 is negative and K3 is 0. Then the relay will trip if we will have K1 IR square is greater than, that is, the operating torque. If it is positive, it is operating, and it is negative, it is restraining. So it is greater than K2 VR square. So the relay will trip, which can also be written by this. Further, if we compare the voltage and the current, then definitely we are getting VR square divided by IR square. It is less than K1 by K2, or you can say that VR divided by the IR is equals to, is less than under root of K1 divided by K2. So now if you see this, let us suppose that this VR by IR, let it be Z seen. Let this VR by IR is equals to Z seen, because it is the impedance and it is the magnitude of the impedance which is seen by the relay. So it is actually the magnitude. And let us suppose that this root of K1, K2, let it be Z set. So from this what we conclude? We conclude that if Z seen is magnitude of Z seen is less than magnitude of Z set, then definitely it will trip, otherwise it will restrain. So if Z seen is less than Z set, then definitely it will trip, otherwise it will restrain. So this trip law for the simple impedance relay. So we can say that simple impedance relay is an overcurrent relay with the voltage restrained, because we have operating torque as this, and this is the restraining torque, this is negative. So it is an overcurrent relay with the voltage restrained. So we can write it as that it is an overcurrent relay with voltage restraint. Now, how it can be implemented on using a balanced beam structure. So, the implementation using a balanced beam structure, it is shown here from the in this figure. So, this is the implementation figure. From this, it will see it can be seen that the current coil exerts a torque. This is actually the current coil. So in this case, if you see, this exerts a positive torque, and it exerts a torque on the soft iron armature in such a way that it tends to close the trip contact. So operating torque is here, so the trip contacts are closed because of that. So the voltage coil on the other hand tends to because this voltage coil, it will the torque is in this direction, it tends to keep the trip contact open and providing the restraining torque, and the control spring keeps the contacts open when the relay is in the energized condition. This is the spring in that very case. Now from this what we see, the operating torque, because of this you will see the operating torque is proportional to I square, and the restraining torque is proportional to V square. Now the relay will operating torque is proportional to I square, this one, and the restraining torque is proportional to V square. Now the relay will trip if this condition is followed, that is K1 IR square is greater than K2 VR square. Similarly, as we have done in the previous case, the Z seen is less than the Z set. So the balanced beam structure implements the simple impedance relay. So this is how the simple impedance relay can be represented by the balanced beam structure. Now we will discuss the performance of the normal of simple impedance relay during the normal load flow. And now the distance relay is fed with the current and the voltage at the relay location, and it keeps on monitoring the transmission line all the time, which includes the normal operating conditions when the load is being supplied. Now, what is the impedance seen by the relay under such conditions? Does the relay tend to maloperate during such a normal operating condition? Then there are some of the questions which need to be addressed as a protection engineer. Now, as it is seen in the figure, the impedance seen by the relay during the normal load flow is actually it is shown here for the double end fed system. Now from this you will see the impedance seen by the relay under such condition is quite large and falls outside the trip region. So this is quite large, this impedance seen by the relay, that is VR divided by IR. It is quite large and falls outside the trip region of the relay operating characteristics, and the simple impedance relay is stable during the normal operating conditions. Now let us discuss the condition effect of arc resistance on the reach of the simple impedance relay. Now let us consider this let us consider a fault with the fault resistance. We will have the fault resistance that is R arc at this point C in a single line diagram. Now the impedance seen by the relay lies on the boundary between the trip and the restraining region, and thus any arcing fault just beyond C will not be detected. So you will see that this is the this C, and in this case CR is actually the arcing resistance, and CR is equals to this one. So now let us suppose that if actually the impedance seen by the relay, it lies on the boundary between the trip and the restraining region, and any arcing beyond C, it cannot be detected because it moves to this restrain region.
Therefore, the simple impedance relay underreaches because of the arcing fault. Because we have here, because of the arcing, it is CR is the arcing. This total, we will have the arc resistance CR. So in that very case, this is the this is actually the this border point other than this point, and as a result, let us suppose that fault is there in the system, it will not detect the fault because it is in the restrained region. So you can say that simple impedance relay underreaches because of the arcing fault, and the percentage underreach is defined as the ratio of distance by which the relay underreaches to the reach setting of the relay. So it is given by BC, relay underreaches, percentage underreach is given by the that is ratio of distance by which the relay underreaches, that is BC, divided by the reach setting of the relay. So reach setting of the relay in this case is this AB into 100. So this is known as the percentage under reach of this relay. So from this we will see that it will, because of the arcing resistance, this relay is definitely, it will going to under reach. Now we will discuss the directional property exhibited by the simple impedance relay. Now the reach of the simple impedance relay is independent of the phase angle between the voltage and the current. So this reach is independent of the phase angle between the voltage and the current at the relay location. So the relay does not possess the directional property. So we will no directional property is there. Simple impedance relay. So it does not have any directional property. So its reach would extend equally in the forward as well as the reverse direction, as shown here in this figure. You will see that we have a system. In this case, you will see that the first quadrant of RX plane represents the forward fault, and the third quadrant represents the reverse faults. So it is the line fault characteristics. This is the forward fault, and this is the reverse fault. And the simple impedance relay by itself will not be useful in the situations where the selectivity between the forward and the, so it is not useful where the selectivity when the selectivity between the forward and reverse fault has to be maintained. We can, however, supervise it with the help of a directional element and get the desired accuracy if it is desired. Now, let us discuss the performance of the simple impedance relay during the power swings. Now, you will see when the power system is operating in the steady state, all the rotor or machine angles are constant. And whenever there is a sudden and large changes in the power system due to the outage or due to the contingency, the rotor angle undergo oscillations till the system reaches a new stable state. So this phenomena is actually known as the power swing. Now the frequency of the oscillation of the rotor angle during the power swing is quite low, and it is actually of the order of a few hertz actually, due to the large inertia of the rotating masses involved. So the impedance seen by the distance relay during the power swing is of very special interest to this relaying engineer, and it can also be shown by the analysis that during the power swing, the locus of tip of impedance seen by the relay, it passes the locus of the tip seen by the relay, it passes through the electrical center of the transmission system, consisting of series combination of source impedance behind the relay location, the transmission line impedance, and the impedance of the source at the remote end. So at some point during the power swing, the apparent impedance enters the trip region. This is the locus, and apparent impedance enters the trip region of the relay operating characteristics. And further, when it passes through the electrical center, it looks as if it is a metallic fault at the electrical center of the transmission system. So this actually causes a relay to trip, putting the line out of the service and adding to the disturbances which are already present in the system. So the tripping because of the power swing has to be more often blocked than unblocked. So that must be taken into consideration. So in this case here we have a system, we have a transmission system, and this is the characteristics, and this is the trip region, and this is the locus of the power swing. And you will see that this locus actually sometimes it passes through the electrical center, and it looks as if it is a metallic fault at the electrical center of the transmission line, even though it is a simple power swing disturbance. However, it causes the relay to trip and putting the line out of service, adding to the disturbances which are already present in the system. So tripping because of the power swing has to be blocked than unblocked, and it that the larger be the area. One more point is that larger be this area occupied by the relay on the RX diagram, the more prone is it is to maloperation due to the power swing, because it will get large area to trip. And since the simple impedance relay, you can see that it occupies a substantial area in all the four quadrants of the RX plane, it is very much vulnerable to maloperation of the power swing. So it is very much vulnerable to the So you can see that the power swing. So you can say that the power swing definitely affects the operation of this simple relay. And this is a simple impedance relay because a large area is occupied with it, and it is vulnerable to the maloperation of the power swing. So this is about the simple impedance relay. In the next lecture, we discuss about the reactance relay and the mode relay. So thank you very much.